Hi, I'm Rachel Bernard. I'm with Graham Entertainment. I'm 22 years old, born and raised here in Nashville, Tennessee. Well, I've always liked politics. I eventually want to change the world, which is, even if it's really, really small. One of the main things that drew me to this particular project was not only because it was based on the Civil War, in which my great-grandfather was a part of. His name was the General Reuben Frank Bernard. There we go. I always forget the middle name. In the very beginning, I was very excited about it. Real World came out, and I was just ecstatic about it. I was like, wow, do people really do this? Oh, people pop their pimples like I do. This is great. And now that it's gotten it's been more receptive of people, some of the shows I have found have been just really stupid. Joe Millionaire 2, I love Joe Millionaire. Joe Millionaire 2 was not so hot. First of all, it just showed even more how naive people can be. And, you learn from certain people, but at the same time you realize what kind of people there are out there. We had 4th grade, we did a bunch of history projects involving that. We went and saw old houses where you can still see them, ones that are still standing today. You can still see bullet holes. One of my mom's best friends is Jay Thomas, and he collects a bunch of Civil War things. My dad's gotten several of their weapons and things that he keeps, on a collection. And my brother, he went out with Jay Thomas. They would go out to the original battlefields, and they would take metal detectors, and they would go around and they would find just little things. And I know that I don't know how people would perceive this, but I actually started collecting men's wedding bands. I just think that it's amazing that they were able to hold on to their marriage and the person that they loved far away, no matter what, and they loved him until the end. And I know that on the other line, you had women who supported them and thought about them and really wanted them to come home, similar to what's going on today.
Richard Russell. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. Went to work yesterday, and first thing walked through the door, someone ran up to me with a little piece of paper that had written down a website and said, "I heard about this great opportunity, and I know you're a big Civil War buff." And I looked at it and brought up the web page, and sure enough, said, "I tell you what, I've always wanted to do the reality thing with the Civil War. I always thought it would be really fascinating." So the whole day I'm thinking about that, and I know that evening I have a poker game down at the local smoke shop on 2nd Avenue. So I show up down there, and a good friend of mine, Chris Christopherson, who's a photographer across the street from the smoke shop, plays poker with us. I walked through the door and said, "You're not going to believe what I heard about today." And Chris said this and handed me the information. So I said, well, I guess I'm going to have to go down there. My father, growing up, did a lot of reading, and he used to take me out shooting. We'd go out shooting. He had an old muzzleloader, and he used to always say, this is what your great-great-grandfather did, and brought me up from a small child. I probably started firing that muzzleloader when I was 5 or 6, and just grew up fascinated in that and reading books, and it just grew from that. Dad would sit and play soldiers with me, because my father was in the Army when I was very young, and so he brought me up talking about all of that all the time. I watch several different reality shows on a regular basis when I'm not working. When I can get home, and I have twin 4-year-old girls, and they love them now too. My wife doesn't enjoy them quite as much, but now there's 3 of us, we outvote her, and we get to watch whatever we want to.
I'm John Harrington from Murfreesboro, Tennessee, in that area. That's outside of Nashville. I'm 44 years old. I drive a truck for Watkins Motor Lines around the Nashville area. I'm pretty much a horseman, an outdoors person. My hobbies would be, I do blacksmith is my biggest hobby. Make arts and craft out of iron the old way. And I've always had an interest in Civil War. I'm not a Civil War reenactor. I'd like to. The hobbies have to stop somewhere. I'm into motorcycling and all kind of things. I don't sit around and watch television a lot, but I've been enjoying the Civil War stuff since I was probably 7 or 8. We had a cabin on the lake near Shiloh, so I've hiked every trail in Shiloh a dozen times. Shiloh battlefield. I live outskirts of Murfreesboro now. In walking distance is a 500-acre farm that you very well could possibly use. Nobody lives on it. The Confederacy used it for a lookout point, during the Battle of Franklin over to Thompson Station, and then the flats part of it was a portable hospital for the Confederacy. I have some knowledge of Civil War. Some of it I forget my dates, but I have a lot of interest in it, and if I ever do become a reenactor, I don't really have a problem putting on blue or gray. I prefer the gray, but this is reenacting history for the young people, so you can't be selfish and never dress in blue and try to relive as much as possible the reenactment. Reality shows, I do watch them from time to time. I do work 12 hours a day. Probably shouldn't say it, but my favorite one is the survival show. It seems more realistic to me, more my cup of tea. Big Brother, I probably could say second choice. I don't understand why those people can't get along with each other in a house forever how many days they're in there. But the other reality shows, I don't really watch them because I don't have cable TV. I'm kind of old-fashioned on that type of subject. I like TV, but I can do without it. And I go on week-long horseback trips where cell phones don't pick up, TVs don't pick up, or radios, and that don't bother me.